When the time is right, all will be provided. So be fearless and enjoy the present moment. Hey, I'm Chaffin, and this is Celia.
Hey, we met in a concussion support group and we are here to talk about our journey with concussions.
Yep, this is Pop Robot, TBI, with the pop, patterns of progress, and robot because we joke all the time how we are robots who have to recharge by doing meditation or quiet things or physical therapy or whatever. We're always beep booping and recharging.
And I'm going to cover my screen with this piece of paper because the screen makes my brain start to shut off. So, Chafin, if you happen to look, make sure I'm still like in the screen.
I'm not looking either, so here we
So,
go.
hopefully, we're there.
All right, today we are talking about the usual of what went well and what did we learn. Celia, do you have anything on your mind that you want to go first?
I can start us out.
Go for it.
What has gone well lately is in the last couple months, I've started some new therapies and I've been seeing people that say they can actually help me. So that's definitely good. And then I really burned myself out with too many appointments. And so what's going well now is I'm spreading the appointments out and really have gone back to prioritizing resting, like letting myself sleep in the morning makes a big difference, and getting my afternoon. It's so usually a nap, sometimes a nap, ideally a nap, because then I really can reset myself, but I can tell such a difference. So that's been going well, and I'm like very proud of myself for
Yeah.
um leaning into choosing to do that and being really happy about it because I know it's good for me. So that's one thing.
Also, I just want to point out that that's really tough when you have to pull back from the appointments that are supposed to be helping you get better. So that's next to the level of self-care, and that you are taking care of yourself by doing all of these appointments and putting yourself out there, because trusting new people with new appointments and different therapy or doctors or whatever, one, that's really scary because we've been burned a lot, and then two, having to mitigate your time and balance it with rest, that's like extra layer of self-care, because it can be so easy for us to go back into our old patterns of hitting it as hard as we can and doing all the appointments at all the times, which ultimately hasn't really helped us in the past. So it's like you're taking what you learned with slowing down and applying it to just what you're doing, like you're still moving forward and taking care of yourself in all these different aspects in different ways.
Yeah, and I think it is really exciting to be presented with the opportunity to have these new um, type of therapies. Um, and then so like for a normal person, like they say, like doing doing too many therapies at once isn't beneficial, but like having the right blend is good. And I think I was kind of doing like normal person mindset. Oh, I can do this many at the same time. Like this seems reasonable. But then when I tried to do it, it was like not reasonable at all. It was totally affected. And so just like with everything with brain injury, it's like kind of taking it really easy. So even with the therapies, like really doing it like in a different way than a normal person would be able to do therapy.
Well, it's finding out what works for you. And I think that's what we've been learning. Like, if we take a big picture step back, that's what we're figuring out works best for us, what we want to do for the rest of our lives. Not in terms of going slow all the time, but I mean, figuring out what works for us. And that comes with trial and error. So you trialed and you found that it wasn't trial and error, it's just like trial and change direction. That's what.
Yeah, trial and bombarded with symptoms, setback, and then reevaluating the approach.
Maybe that's it. Trial and reevaluation. That's what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean like looking back on the last month and you know, it's a much smoother transition like compared to how I would have handled it,
Mm.
a year ago. So, I feel really good about it. Like I tried something new. I had some pretty big issues with it. And then reevaluated. And now I'm like, oh, wait, I am the master of my creation of my rehabilitation. So I can be like, you can go back an entire month. I'm not going to see you for a month. Like, I'm doing this right now. So it's like, you get to, and I did have help with coming up with this from my concussion coach, but that's what she's for. So,
Go concussion coach.
oh, so amazing.
Yep.
What about you, Chapin?
What's gone well? So the past couple months for me, I started a new job. Before this job, I was working at Weight Watchers, tutoring and health coaching, and it wasn't necessarily consistent hours. Like it was a lot, but not consistent. And so, my healthcare team recommended switching over to a more consistent job. So I'm now working 20 to 24 hours per week consistently, with 5 to 7 hours per day. And it has been a journey. But what's been going really well is that I have been doing so good at acknowledging when I've been falling back into old patterns like perfectionism or overachieving or people pleasing or anxiety. And with each of those, I've been able to create a plan with my concussion coach, just like Celia, and with Celia. Like we've been talking through a lot of this stuff, about how to combat those things. So being a perfectionist has majorly gone down. Overachieving, like majorly gone down. I don't necessarily think I wouldn't consider myself an overachiever at this job, where in all my other jobs, I've always been an overachiever. And like, I can't do that anymore with my brain. And what else? Yeah, like the anxiety, working through affirmations and mind body techniques to help myself engage my body, and then really learning how to process my emotions so that when I go home and I'm overwhelmed and my brain is super overstimulated and I have so many different emotions because my brain is just so overstimulated, I've really learned to just let myself have all these feelings, not try and sort through them, just allow myself to sit in them and then kind of watch them wash over me like a wave. Like they will pass. I've learned a lot about how to do that. Still learning it. But like I've come so far in that. So what's gone well is I've learned so many different new techniques in really learning how to listen to my body and meet myself where I'm at.
That's incredible. Yeah, so you've learned them and now you're just really practicing every day.
Yeah, so definitely some like different setbacks and like anxiety. I haven't had that much anxiety in a long time, with like starting the new job. And I think it was just my brain was so overstimulated. So I really got to hone in on working on affirmations, as I said. It's like I've got them posted all over my room now. And then I've gotten into a habit of repeating them. I write them down in the morning and then I repeat them throughout the day. Like one that really keeps me calm is, when the time is right, all will be provided. So be fearless and enjoy the present moment. And that's like my anthem. I mean, one among so many. Like literally, I've got it right here. If you can see that. It's backwards. Maybe it's not. I don't know. But
not backwards.
Not backwards. Okay. Yeah. So it's like all these different things that I get anxious about. I just repeat that in my brain. So
can you tell it to me one more time?
When the time is right, all will be provided. So be fearless and enjoy the present moment.
I pulled a card for our chat today, and the card I got was, well, it says the now.
The now.
It's just a reminder to just be in the present, in the now. And I think that's one thing you've talked to me about that's really helped you. I think it was you that said this, but it's like just really focusing on the now. And I won't speak for you, I'll speak for myself. Is when you really are like very present in your life, you're not stressing about like all of these things in the future that you don't know how you're going to be able to do. And like with brain injury healing, you don't know when you're going to get better or how fast or what direction it's going to go. And so to think, like for me, I think about what I do for a living. Actually, I don't think about that too much because I'm kind of like getting an idea and like I'm already working on it. But like as far as dealing with work comp and the attorneys and all that, like being in the present, I can conserve my brain energy and really focus on like me and not like shit I can't control. So the now is like the magic place to be, as everyone probably already knows, but
That's amazing. No, I would very much agree with that. I am now stepping into, so not just focusing on the now. Well, yeah, still focusing on the now, but I'm learning how to look at the gray space of like, okay, there's the future and kind of steps leading up to the future. So I'm learning how to look at that, but still stay in the present. It's like in the past, I would get so caught up in planning for the future, I wouldn't really live in the present. And I would just always be worrying or game planning or calculating, even overachieving, people pleasing. It's always for the present, like how to make that person like me in the future and all that, or like how to succeed at this job so I'll move forward. But now, yeah, as Celia said, like we don't have that control over really what comes next, except for how are we going to approach right now. And like we're doing all these things to set us up for success in the future, but it's like, I don't know, it's a fine line of how to say it without sounding like we're obsessed with the future by focusing so hard on the present, but we're not so obsessed with the present that we're losing sight of the future. It's like, but we're learning to live in the present. Do you know how to say it? I don't.
well, I think what you said made more sense than what I said. But
What you said made more sense.
I made it sound like I'm not going to think about the future at all. It doesn't, you know, you're like at least like being like, well, it will eventually happen. So I do think about it. But it's basically not letting the unknowns of the future negatively affect your now,
Yeah.
your peace of mind now.
And I've been very much like just do one thing at a time. You know, that is another anthem of mine. Like, just one thing at a time and just focus on the present. And I really have not been thinking about the future. Our concussion coach was like, okay, that's great, but at the same time, future is coming. So it's like, do you want it to smack you in the face without you being prepared? So it's like, no, I want to be able to think about the future, but live in the present. So I'm like learning how to do that. I don't necessarily have a lot of tools yet, except for when I start to worry about the future. Like I told you this yesterday, Celia. My boyfriend and I were talking about when are we moving forward with marriage, and he's from India. So like, how am I going to travel to India with a TBI? That's like a 18-hour plane ride, and blah, and then a giant wedding, blah. And like I started, kind of panicking about it. But then I was able to bring myself back. Well, when I felt the emotion, so I had a little, like I allowed myself to cry, to like release it, and then I brought myself back to the present, and I reminded myself when the time is right, all will be provided. So be fearless and enjoy the present moment. And I reminded myself that everything I'm doing right now is setting me up for that future to be able to do those things. I don't know when, but like it will come.
Basically, just we're just like constantly learning all day long.
Literally.
Like I feel like I have like 900 stories I could say right now.